What's that?
Santiago's transfer. You guys have paperwork on that kind of thing. I just need it for the file.
For the file?
Yeah.
Of course, you can have a copy of the transfer order for the file, Danny. I'm here to help in any way I can.
Thank you.
You believe that, don't you, Danny? That I'm here to help you in any way I can?
Of course.
Corporal will take you by personnel on your way out to the flight line, and you can have all the transfer orders that you want. But you have to ask me nicely.
I beg your pardon?
You have to ask me nicely. You see, Danny, I can deal with the bullets and the bombs and the blood. I don't want money, and I don't want medals. What I do want is for you to stand there in that faggoty white uniform and with your Harvard mouth extend me some fucking courtesy. You gotta ask me nicely.
Colonel Jessup, if it's not too much trouble, I'd like a copy of the transfer order. Sir.
No problem.
This program contains subject matter and language that may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
I feel I have to preface this video with personal experience, or somehow people won't take my thoughts on the subject serious. I have watched numerous movies, as I'm sure anyone listening to this has. Aside from that, I've spent over 20 years of active service in the United States Army, 15 years of which I was a non-commissioned officer, or sergeant for the unfamiliar. On top of that, add that I was a U.S. Army recruiter for 3.5 years, whose job it was to find qualified members. So I think I may have a smidge of credibility on how a soldier should look and act. Movies get more often than not, movies get the uniform, use of rank, mannerisms, and the overall depiction of the military wrong. Do all movies get these aspects wrong? No, but there are a vast amount of films that have. For every American sniper, there will always be 5 hurt lockers. So what I'd like to do today is inform you on how most movies mishandle the military. How I went about doing this wasn't simple. I had to set a few parameters. The wear of the United States military uniform has been heavily regulated for more than a couple of decades now, and yet movies find new methods to horribly get these storied battle dresses at once. According to usflag.org, the American flag patch is to be worn right or left shoulder, not both at the same time, so that the star field faces forward, or to the flag's own right. When worn in this manner, the flag is facing to the observer's right and gives the effect of the flag flying in the breeze as the wearer moves regulation, or AR 670-1. No matter which uniform you wear, this book explains in great detail what is and isn't allowed when it comes to uniforms. Some common examples of infractions Hollywood actors commit while in the uniform are, but not limited to, mismatching of different pattern uniforms, wrong uniform for the particular conflict, wearing of rank wrong, headgear or hat worn wrong, sleeves rolled up, fingerless gloves, and the list goes on. In 1994, then stars Pauly Shore and Andy Dick released In the Army Now, a comedy where 2 friends joined the U.S. Army Reserve in order to finance a business endeavor. The 2 select water purification specialists as their primary MOS. The movie is set after the events of the Gulf War and sees Pauly and Andy save the day by way of a series of comedic mishaps. This movie does a lot wrong, trust me, a lot. But weirdly enough, they get so much about uniforms right. The type and wear of uniforms for its time period is most always correct. Surprisingly, the protagonists sign up for water treatment specialists and use the proper equipment to purify water. They use it wrong, but they do have the correct equipment. On the not so good side, the haircuts, accessories, and most other equipment they have are either used wrong or wouldn't be used at all. In addition to this, Higher-ranking enlisted members are seen more as overgrown summer camp bullies than they do trained professional soldiers. This movie's use of uniform and overall tone shortchanges service members on the whole. Granted, this movie is a comedy, not to be taken seriously, but its subject matter demands more respect than what was given. It seems that 1994 was a good year for butchering the U.S. service member's identity, as another comedy movie used the U.S. Army as its backdrop. Renaissance Man places Danny DeVito in the role of Bill Rago, a divorce executive who loses his job. A temp agency gives Rago the new job of teaching U.S. Army AIT students at the nearby fictional base Fort McLean. In addition to being an all-around bad film, Renaissance Man does a fantastic job of butchering almost everything about America's oldest institution. Almost everything about the Army's role in this movie is fake. Most of the events could never ever happen. This movie has Mr. Rago take 4 active duty U.S. Army soldiers across the border to another country in uniform on an organized trip. He has no leadership for the soldiers present, which one wrong action could cause international incident. The Army has a strict man-hour policy in which students may not miss a certain amount of hours from any training course. If they do, the trainee is either held over to be recycled in the following class, or worse, released from service. Lastly, this movie insults the sensibilities of both civilian and military alike by insinuating that the U.S. Army would knowingly allow soldiers on active duty who are incapable of reading. Everyone who enlists in the military must take the ASVAB. All eligible personnel must also possess a GED, unless special waivers are granted. Renaissance Man is a brazen representation of how Hollywood wants America to perceive its soldiers. Let's fast forward to the year 2008. While heading towards the tail end of the Iraq War, Stop Loss made its debut in American theaters. While it deals with a very real and sensitive military subject, everything from its delivery to the behavior of the soldiers blurs the lines of reality. It's so bad, the average American could easily be seduced by the lies within this movie. Brian Felipe, Channing Tatum, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt portray young soldiers whose experience in the Iraq War leaves them psychologically shattered. If only I had several weeks to explain everything this movie does wrong. From the uniforms to the misuse of rank and the general behavior of its soldiers, Stop Loss tries to shed light on a potentially great topic, but instead chooses to surgically castrate it. The core of everything wrong can be encapsulated in just one scene.
You didn't stop Lost.
Lieutenant Colonel?
Sergeant King, I teed you up for a recruitment pitch in Brazos, and you gave me an onion patch.
That's what came to mind, sir.
What's your problem, Sergeant?
I'm supposed to be getting out today. Now they're shipping me back to Iraq.
You understand why it's important we win over there. Why we need good soldiers, like you.
Yes, sir.
You have extenuating circumstances.
Sir, you know me. I'm a squared-away soldier.
Because I have an extenuating circumstance, Sergeant. It's called a war. It's in Iraq.
I know, sir. I volunteered to fight in it. I ran over 150 combat missions for you, no complaint. Contract says stop loss is only in a time of war. This president said the war's over, so legally...
You lawyer son.
No, sir. But after doing right by this army, I'm getting burned by some fine print in a contract. Now, the president himself said...
The president is also the commander-in-chief. I think he trumps you either way.
With all due respect, sir, fuck the president.
Fuck the president.
Yes, sir. He's not over there fighting this war.
He's not there seeing his buddies burned alive in Humvees.
I lost 3 men last month, and I almost got the rest of us killed.
Those were my men too, and I lost more than that. You're an excellent leader, and you are going back.
For 11 more years.
It won't come to that.
How do you know? I think the president trumps you in this matter. This, sir, is bullshit, and you know it.
Lieutenant, you just heard Sergeant King disobey a direct order.
Yes, sir.
I also perceive him to be a flight risk, Escort him to the stockade so he can readjust his attitude.
Let's break down what's so wrong with this clip. In this snippet, we see Ryan Felipe, who portrays Infantry NCO Staff Sergeant Brandon King, learn that he is being stop-lossed. Staff Sergeant King would never learn of his stop-loss from a corporal sitting in an office, who, by the way, would not be wearing a Class B uniform. Secondly, upon